Most people spend their entire lives trying to get good at one thing and they still never master it. I've been forced to master multiple disciplines just to survive. Hand-to-hand combat, advanced weapons training, intelligence gathering, psychological profiling, high-stakes negotiations, and undercover operations. And later on in life, less intense things like becoming a BJJ black belt and these days coaching elite performers at the highest level of entrepreneurship. And what I discovered is that mastery follows the same patterns no matter what you're learning. There's a system to it. And today, I'm going to give you the complete framework for mastering anything in life, whether it's a sport, a business skill, a language, or anything else you've been struggling with. My name is Itamar Marani. I'm an ex-Special Forces operative, undercover agent, jiu-jitsu black belt, and the author of Elite Performance. I work with 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs and achieve their highest potential while winning big. If you appreciate me making this content for free, hit the like button below. Let's get into it. Let's start with a word most people misunderstand: polymath. A polymath is someone who can operate at a high level across multiple disciplines, not dabble, not surface level competence, but real capability. And most people assume that requires talent or intelligence or something that you are born with, but it doesn't. Because mastery is not tied to the field, it's tied to the process. And here's what I mean by that. I've seen this in completely different environments, okay? On the mats in jiu-jitsu and counterterrorism, in running security in high-stakes environment, and now working with 7 to 9-figure entrepreneurs and the 1% of the business world. They all have different skills, but the same patterns emerge. And that's the key to understand, that once you can understand the patterns and see them, you can apply these frameworks everywhere. And the reason most people, unfortunately, never master anything is because they approach learning incorrectly. They jump between strategies, they consume endlessly, and then they try to be advanced before they're actually prepared. They basically go a mile wide and an inch deep, and they never build true depth that is required. So here's the actual process. Phase 1 is about compression. At the start, you simplify aggressively. You do not need more information, you need the right information. In jiu-jitsu, that meant fundamentals, positioning, balance, control, not hundreds of techniques, a few done well. Most people naturally get excited and they expand too early, but it actually kills progress. Phase 2 is about exposure. Now you apply repeatedly. This is where things get uncomfortable because this is where you get exposed, where your weaknesses become obvious, where what you thought you understood breaks under pressure. This is that part of the Dunning-Kruger effect. And this is where environment becomes everything. So when I decided I want to be one of the best in the world at jiu-jitsu, I didn't stay comfortable. I packed up my life, I moved to Rio de Janeiro, and I slept on gym mats there until I figured it out. What I was able to do by that is to train with the best guys in the world every single day. And I was getting destroyed. I was getting submitted, I was getting exposed, and I was getting outclassed constantly. But the beautiful part of that improved me because there was no opportunity for me to hide. I couldn't have an ego because the gap was that big, and I had no illusion of being good. And that's exactly why it worked though. Because when you're surrounded by people operating at that level, you are forced to rise. And also, you can't have an ego. It's that whole iron sharpens iron, and basically the standard of your environment will become your standard. So when this happened, it actually came time for me to compete back home, it felt easy. Because nothing I faced there was harder than what I dealt with every day in training with the best. And that's what the right environment does. It compresses time. Phase 3 is about refinement. Now you're starting to tighten everything. Not adding more, but improving what's already there. And this is where mentorship becomes critical. So when I was training, I was coached by a 9-time world champion, Ricardo Vieira, someone who had already mastered the game. And because of that, he could see things that I couldn't. Small adjustments, subtle mistakes, and tiny inefficiencies that were actually very costly. These are things that would have taken me years to figure out on my own, if at all. And that's the difference. The right coach doesn't just give you information, they give you precision. They collapse time by telling you things that you're not even thinking about that are getting in your way. And they show you where you're off, but more importantly, exactly how to fix it, which leads to speed, better decisions, and much, much cleaner execution. And this is why environment and mentorship are not optional if you want to be at your very best. They're critical. Left to yourself, you will miss things. You will reinforce bad habits, and you will stay in your comfort zone at a certain point. It's just natural. But in the right environment, with the right guidance, you can't hide. And that's where real growth happens. At a certain point, something will shift and you'll stop thinking about the skill and you just start executing through it. And this is the point where identity starts to change. You're no longer trying to get better, you simply operate differently. And that is what mastery looks like. And once you've gone through this process once, you can repeat it. And that's how you become a polymath. Not by doing everything, but by understanding how to learn anything in a depth that is required. Now, here's the mistake that most people make. They try to skip steps, to avoid the hard environments, to resist the feedback, to protect their ego. All natural, but ineffective. And in doing that, they end up slowing everything down. Mastery doesn't reward comfort. I'll say it again. Mastery doesn't reward comfort. It rewards honesty, courage, precision, and the willingness to be exposed. So if you want to master anything in your life, have the willingness to be exposed and focus on that process. Simplify what matters, apply it under pressure, and refine with accurate feedback. And most importantly, put yourself in an environment that demands more from you than you currently demand of yourself. That's the difference. And if you're serious about accelerating that process and putting yourself in the right environment with the right level of feedback, you're welcome to book a strategy call using the link in the show notes below. On that call, we'll break down exactly where you are, identify what's slowing your progress, and I will help you see some blind spots you're probably not even aware of and show you what it would take to build real mastery with the right structure, the right feedback, and the right environment so you can get more out of yourself and of your team. Because again, mastery is not talent, and that's the good news. It's a system. And once you understand it, you can apply it to anything at will.